call this meeting to order. Just a workshop, so we don't have to have a quorum, but present here today, of course, Dr. Jaime, Mr. Gonzalez, Coach Cuellar, and myself, Mr. Nieto. First item on the workshop, 2019-2020 budget. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this is our third workshop on the budget, and Mr. Sanchez is here to present a little bit of new information and revisit some of the information previously presented. Mr. Sanchez.
Yes. Dr. Canales, Mr. Nieto, members of the board, I left a copy of the presentation at your desk. I'm going to try to mention all of the items highlighted in blue, which is basically changes from the last presentation I made last week. We did receive the certified property values last Monday, but late, before 5, that's why you have a chance to bring it to you. The certified values for this year are $2,415,149,000. The year before, the certified values were $2,319,417,000. There is a certified taxable increase of $95 million, which represents 4.1% increase on the property values. For your information for next year, one of the changes the legislature made was that they're going to cap the increases at 2.5%. So next year, if it were to increase like this, we'll be limited to 2.5% only. That's to help taxpayers. That is one of the reasons our taxes are going to be less next year. Going to the next blue item, state-funded departments like CTE, special ed, compensatory education, bilingual, and the federally funded funds will receive the non-payroll allocations at the end of the week after we finish processing the payroll budget reflecting the pay raises approved by the board last week. Any vacancies that we have, we'll evaluate them as we need them. We are already aware of several we need, so we're working on setting them up in the budget. ADA, again, we're using for next year $15,751. That's what we're using for our budget. On slide 4, at the bottom shows that we recalculated the property revenues, tax revenues, and the foundation figures related to that. On the local current property tax revenues and the M&O side, the local maintenance fund, we increased by $125,000 in revenues. The state funds decreased by $373,000. So the net effect of the change in values is a decrease of $248,000 in the budget.
And this is for next year?
Yes, for the budget for next year.
Okay.
But last time I mentioned that depending on how the values went up or down, it will affect the budget. So the budget really is minimal. I was expecting it to be bigger.
Oh, okay. So right now, it's $240,000
$240,000 less than what I had presented, yes, sir.
Okay.
The schools, like I had mentioned before, we had given the basic allocation from local funds. For the elementary schools, 120, middle school, 135, high schools, 200. Next week, after we finish processing payroll, we'll look at increasing their allocations to a higher amount. And if we have it ready by Friday, we'll let you know on the update. If not, we'll let you know next week.
Okay.
One item that is not here, last year, you might remember, we did not put in the budget any money for computers, instructional computers or projectors. So we were looking at perhaps allocating $1.2 million in the budget.
From this year's budget?
This year's budget, yes. Once we have the payroll finished, we will look at the numbers. If the money is there, we'd like to recommend $1.2 million for computers and projectors.
How much did we allocate last year, Dr. Canales?
Nothing. The
Nothing
year
at all?
before was $1 million.
Okay.
But last year, it was nothing.
Okay.
We're also looking at perhaps budgeting 3 new buses, school buses, because we have about 20 of the old ones that are between 10 and 15 years old.
Okay.
On slide 6, on health insurance, I now have figures through June 30. I guess the estimate that we do. We're anticipating that the deficit, instead of $1.5 million, will be $2 million by the end of the year. The board approved increases to the contributions to the health insurance plan. The district contribution was increased by 20% from $495 to $582 per employee per month. And the employee contributions were increased by 15%. Then the next 2 pages are the table that have the contributions for employees by the district and employees on the separate categories on the plans. On slide 9, just legal information on the mandated pay raises from the state that we're required to provide 30% of the difference in funding between the current year formulas and next year formulas of House Bill 3. And we already accounted for this when we did the pay raise recommendation and approval. On slide 10, shows now that on July 29, after discussion, the board approved pay raises for employees, for classroom teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses, using 4 tiers of $3,400, $3,600, $3,800, and $4,000. The total amount came out to $5,139,599, including benefits. Paraprofessional, manual trades, technical trades staff, and bus drivers, the 7% from midpoint pay raise came out to $2,162,622. For administrators, at 5% increase from midpoint, came out to $979,934. Total pay raises for all employees for next year is $8,282,154.
Pretty good increase. What, do you remember what was the pay raise last year, total? It
750.
was $750 per, but total, which,
How much was that amount?
so we compare 8 million to whatever, last year was, what,
No,
about
it was
one-
very little.
1.5?
Yeah, no, it was a small amount.
It was a small amount,
Like,
was it? Okay,
Uh,
okay.
Surprised I don't have the number, but no, it was a small
750
amount.
times the number every employee, correct?
Right, 2,000.
So it actually wasn't.
Approximately.
Like $1.5 million or something like that. Million 8,
So this year, we're making up for last year.
5.
yes.
What was it?
About between 1.5 and 2
Yeah,
million, right?
that's what I remember. Okay, so we're making up by the pay increase
Yes,
this year.
and we did mention that last time when we were
Okay.
making the recommendation.
All right, go ahead.
The next slide, 11, is the breakdown of the pay raises for paraprofessional, manual trades, technical trades, staff, and bus drivers. The next slide, 12, is a new slide. This is for the debt service fund. This is also called interest and sinking fund, the one we use to pay our bonds. The tax rate for this tax, the INS, is 2 cents again, same as last year. On the first bullet here, mentioned that we're going to transfer $2 million from surplus funds of the general fund and the local maintenance fund to the INS fund, $2 million for the payment of debt. We always bring this item to the board to approve at the end of the year, which will be August 26th this time, and we will make the transfer before the end of the year. Then the next bullet mentioned that we will have 2 pennies increase in the tax rate. That will generate approximately $454,000 in property taxes and $637,000 in IFA state funds. And we have the breakdown here, the amount that we will have at the end of the year, $1,071,000, $2 million transfer, ending with a $3,071,000. For next year, we expect $454,000 in property revenues, $637,000 in IFA state revenues, but $40,000 in interest and penalties, for a total amount available for payment of bond debt of $4.2 million. The bond payment would be $3,956,025, which we expect to have about $246,000 left in the debt service fund at the end of next year.
At the end of next year, 2020.
20, right, yes, sir.
Okay.
Any questions? Anything?
Questions on my left? Dr. Jaime, Mr. Gonzalez? Sure. No? Coach Cuellar, I know Mr. Lopez just walked in, but Coach Cuellar? Any
You feel
questions?
pretty comfortable with everything?
Yes, sir.
As-
Yes,
as-
yes.
as- In terms of where we've been before and where we're at now?
Yes, and
With
we're
everything
still
that-
working.
Yeah.
The legislature hasn't provided, given all the final guidance, how we're going to spend some of the money, the extra money they gave us. Like for students, certain items, we have some guidance, not all of it, but the money is reflected in the budget that we have. So we're doing okay.
Okay.
Mr. Lopez, I was just covering basically changes from what I presented last time. One of the items I mentioned was we got the certified property values. The values went up between last year and this year, about, I believe it was 91 million. And we'll have about 125,000 more in property taxes, and we have 300 and some less state aid. So we're going to be short about 240,000 revenues, which is a small amount. I had expected a bigger amount if the difference in value was higher.
Okay.
And I mentioned that the board approved the pay raises. And this last slide is the last one that I hadn't mentioned before, for the payment of the bonds.
Mr. Sanchez,
Yes, sir.
what's our fund balance? Where is it going to be at the end of this year?
Undesignated fund balance, we have it right now at 18 million. I had mentioned that we wanted to increase it at the end of the year, perhaps 4 more million to 22. We have some money in fund balance assigned for facilities to other needs. But with the, once we finalize the books, I'd like to say maybe 5 million. I'd like to say more, but I want to keep it at between 4 and 5 million at the end of the year. Some vacancies that we didn't fill, some items that we didn't use. And,
Are you saying adding 5 million to the fund balance?
Well, 4 million to the fund balance.
4 million.
Yes. We have
Is that the
18,
one
we've been
with-
doing 500,000 every year.
Right, we're doing 500,000.
Right.
And now you're going to do 4 million?
Yes, sir. One of the things is the state's going to start checking us on our fund balance that we have.
Well, at this point right now, Andres, I think we're looking at roofs. And I think instead of, well, not saying instead, because I know the
Sure, sure.
money's going to a good place, but I think we need to start thinking about using some of that money for roofing. And I know you've talked about that.
Yeah,
Or do you
we-
have some other money
Yes, and-
already
Set
earmarked?
aside.
It's already
This is
there.
unassigned,
Fund balance
correct?
assigned for facilities, so we have some money that we can use for the roofing.
For-
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
for the unassigned, the state is going to start looking at how much we have.
Yeah.
The ideal is 3 months of your
Yeah.
of your
And- yeah.
expenses, your expenditures, monthly expenditures.
So the 22 million is how many months?
It's going to help.
Okay, but like 22 million right now is what? 2 months, a month and a half?
That's going to get close to the 2 months.
It's
But
gonna get close
50
to-
days or something like that.
Okay.
We need about 28 to be 2 months.
We need at least 75 days, so we need
Right.
to increase
It
it a
would
lot
take
more
us 8
money.
years to get there. If you're going to put 4 million, that's 8 years worth of $500,000.
Yeah, so we need about 45 million in the fund balance to have it 3 months,
That's
How
what
much?
but 45 million,
25?
45,
45 million.
yeah. $180 million fund, 180 million budget for the general fund.
And
Close
we
to that
need to
amount.
make sure that our public, our people understand that that money is something that we don't touch. You know, a lot of people look at the fund balance and say, well, they've got $25 million in the bank. Why do we even need to go out for a bond? Or why do they even need to borrow money to build a school or to repair or to modernize? We can't touch this. I mean, we could, but the state is asking us to have, like you said, $45 million for the rainy day. So, and we've had two.
Yeah, sometimes when either we don't collect taxes or the state, for whatever reason, they don't send us any money. They delay it. Then we need to have money to operate, pay bills, pay payroll. So they always say to have at least 3 months.
And another thing that needs to come out, and since we are on talking about money, is that every single person that works for the district is going to get a good raise. And that being said, I want to challenge every employee to bring back a student to help, our numbers instead, let's stop this losing 200 every year, 200 less, 200 less. Let's stop it. Even if it's 100, that's 100 too many. I mean, there's kids being born every day. Let's make sure that they're all coming here. And we need to challenge each and every single employee, each and every single teacher, everybody to work to try to get our kids back. Because that is where we could get hurt. Now that everybody's salaries are higher, and we're losing students, I mean, that could put us in trouble in next, if not next year, the year after that.
Yes. ADA is the leading factor for getting state funds.
Yeah, so.
Continue, Andres.
And the next item is the timeline. We have a scheduled workshop for the 12th before the regular meeting. I hope I have better figures on the budget after we payroll is posted on the system. Then the last page is the summary of all the year-to-date figures. The total amount that we have for general fund revenues is $186,787,000, and that is the figure in yellow right here. Just for information, last year, right here, was $169,942,000. So there's about a $16.8 million difference in budget between what was adopted last year and what we're proposing this year, because of the increases by
Pay raises.
by the legislature, yes.
All right.
Any questions?
Questions? Mr. Lopez?
Yes, sir.
You said you had money for the roofs and for stuff like that. How much do you have set aside?
So it's about 8 million. I need to check the numbers, but I'll let you know the update.
Already have 8 million set aside
Yeah, between
for
7
next
and 8
year?
million the amount. It's that we've been carrying the amount, fund balance for facilities or other needs.
Okay.
All right. Questions on this side? Are we finished? Coach Cuellar?
Nope.
All right, next item, facilities. Thank you, Andres.
Thank you.
Board of Trustees, for this presentation, we have Mr. Riojas, along with Mr. Americo Garza, and I believe we have Robert Sands here, Mr. Robert Sands. So first of all, we're going to begin by just a little history walk of where we've been. On the first slide, you see the devastation to FD Roosevelt Elementary in June 2018, when we had that 14 to 16 inches of rain fall in our city. Other facilities that we've been concerned about that have suffered flood damage, these have suffered them 2 years in a row, are the Transportation Department. We do have pictures from a picture from 2019, and then, of course, the pictures from June 2018. Just as reference points. We are undergoing a long-range facilities assessment and exploring options for our district. We want to provide safe learning environments for all staff and all students, and that includes staff in departments for the future. So, Mr. De La Rosa, are you going to introduce our presenter?
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. As you know, we're going through a long-range facilities master plan, and we have with us today Mr. Robert Sands with ERO. Mr. Sands did the facilities assessment for the entire facilities for the district. He just finished the last visits last week. As like Dr. Gonzalez mentioned, we do have some areas of concern. He's going to pretty much give a quick update on, what he witnessed or what he saw for our areas of concern, which is transportation, warehouse, and maintenance departments. Also, we have, he will give a brief explanation or kind of go through a recommendation that he presented to us regarding Roosevelt's. How we went through some very, very tough times with Roosevelt's. However, we also have a concern with food services and their portable unit at the time, or at this present time. So Mr. Robert Sands is going to go over a couple of, or he's going to go over some information. So, Mr. Robert?
Dr. Canales, Board, thank you very much for letting me come here and talk a little bit about what we've been doing for the last 6 weeks. As you can see here, one of the first things that we did when we got here was to know that Roosevelt had flooded, and so we thought we would pull that out of our list of things to look at and do that right off the bat. And so that's what we did. And then about a month or so ago, Coach here asked me for the options that we had that we thought we could do for the Roosevelt. And so as you can see on the board here, we had two options, and the options we're going to talk about tonight is one where we're going to preserve Building A. Building A only had, when it flooded, it was just up at the 3 to 4 inches, so that we felt that was a pretty safe area. But building through F that you can see there was severely flooded and extremely damaged. As we looked at the project, we could tell that every one of those buildings it's just going to cost you too much money to get that where it needs to be. Plus, it still will be in a flooding stage. So part of our recommendation is to go from Building B through F, demolish those, increase the size of the detention pond that you have there. You have a very small detention pond compared to what you've got there. Second to that, just to saying build a different or a larger detention pond, I highly stress that we talk with the city as well, because I know that they're doing a lot of storm drainage work, and we've had brief back and forth with them, and I just really strongly suggest that as we do go through these projects, that we really connect with them and make sure that we are not hampering the things that they're doing, or they're not hampering the things that we need to be doing. Okay, On Roosevelt, there was the two options. One of them was to actually you could put 239 more students back in A. But we felt that that was like a second option. Just wanted to make sure that you understood that if you could alleviate the water, then you could probably put 239 students back in there. What we felt as we went on through the district and looked at where some of your administrative staff is located, we thought that this would be a more viable place to put those in. As you can see there on the left side, the south section, and you can see the numbered rooms down there, 8, 9, 20, 21, and 19. I numbered those to put there for nutritional services. We went out and looked at their portables, where they are. They're in really poor condition, extremely poor condition, almost frightful to some extent. So we thought, well, we could do this. We'll just take that administrative class group, put them in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classrooms, which you could actually put 3 offices per classroom in there. There's 960 square feet per classroom. And so in real normal layman's terms, an administrative staff could probably have 3 of them in each one of those. Another suggestion is between that room 9 and 20, you need to really cut a door so that there can be some travel between classroom 8 through 23 and up. And so it kind of gives a free flow that's uninterrupted, that's uninterrupting the rest of the area. Okay, then you can see here on this slide on 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 is where we were going to put, excuse me a minute, I believe it was library services. Yes. We was going to put library services in there, which also are housing some portables right around the corner from Child Nutrition. Very cramped. We went and looked at that, talked to each one of the people there, and so we thought this would be a great place to house library services. They can occupy the 5 spaces. I put a little green line that shows you that when they have products that come in and go out, they can go out that door that's at the top. What you don't see here is to the right of this building A is there was at one time a parent drop-off. And so this becomes a utility service drive for them. And so that's where the library services will go. And then the third place is the 246. We have 6 classrooms there that we thought that maybe the special needs administration should go. We saw their building, very little, very small. They've got a lot of, as you well know, they've got a lot of people that come in and out. They've got a lot of counselors and stuff that come in and out. This is basically for the administrative staff. When they have their counselors come in and they have different meetings or group meetings, they can go into the northern section, as you see on the right side. There's plenty of great open area spaces up there that they can use to make for conference rooms or whatever they want to do. And then they can leave straight out the front door. There's a parking lot to the north end of that. And that is it for that one. You got any questions on?
What is the square footage of this building?
I'm sorry?
What's the square footage on this building?
Okay, one of them is 27,000, one of them is 29,000. I believe,
Call it 27.
I believe A is the 27,000 square feet.
Okay, and right now, we have cafeteria services in what size of an area?
I'm sorry.
Cafeteria services is in what size of an area? From what I understand, they're in a really small area.
One portable building?
Yes, they're in.
40 by 40
Yes.
maybe?
They're in one portable building. They also have a storage area as
There's
well.
storage in the front, so 2 portable buildings.
Yeah.
Basically.
And
Two
I forgot
portables?
to tell you that part of that storage area would go into one of those rooms at the northern end, because it's quite a bit of documents and stuff that they have to take care of because of food service.
Well, but still, so you're talking about 2 40 by 40s maybe? Or are they smaller than that?
The
And they're-
portables? Oh, they're about 60 feet long. Sir.
Yeah, 60
About
by
60 by
12.
24 by 60s?
24 by 60.
So that's about 3,000 square foot each? And, okay, so that's cafeteria has that. What about special needs? They're in a very small area.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in a single building.
Maybe 2,500 square feet?
I don't
Maybe,
know. I don't think I have
Maybe.
that one, sir.
maybe 2,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very small.
Very small. It's
Very small
extremely
building.
cramped.
And library services?
Library services is in the second set of portables around from the
So-
child nutrition.
So this would work out perfect for those 3.
It has 3 little separate portables, and there's this huge area that they've got a lot of storage in.
I mean, I like the idea. I think it sounds great. We've had that building sitting there vacant ever since the flood of 2018.
Another beauty about this building is that each one of those classrooms has a 45 square foot restroom that you can take out the commode and take out the sink, and it becomes a storage room for each one of those rooms if we had to. There already are adult restrooms up at the northern end, so for every one of those three offices, they can have at least a 48 square foot lockable storage area.
Well, I don't know what kind of action we would need to take to get that to happen, Dr. Canales. I do think that we need to get an architect to design the whole structure. I know that, or the whole layout of the building, so that it maximizes what everybody needs as far as cafeteria services and special needs and cafeteria. I know special needs is probably gonna have some walking and some parents coming to see
Yes.
them.
And that's one of the reasons we put them up to the upper left, so they can come in from that parking lot that's up on the north end. Just bring them in and out.
Yeah.
If I may, Mr. Lopez, also food services, they do have some parent walk-ins to discuss very private dietary needs for students. And so that's one of the reasons why the need for separate offices and privacy is very important also.
Well, I know you have two main, I guess, hallways, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You know, and those hallways could serve as, somebody, different, as a divider. And you can cut in or make new hallways or cut through walls or whatever needs to happen to make this building function and really help, I know that all these are very important, but special needs, I have never been to their facilities, but I can only imagine how cramped they are.
I have, sir. I have walked the facilities, and it is very, very cramped, yes.
That's true.
Okay.
All very good recommendations. Now we just gotta talk to Mr. Sanchez and Dr. Canales that, what money is available. so
Do we have an
can,
idea? Do we have ideas to
Cost?
costs?
We have been kind of talking about that, Mr. Americo Garza and Mr. Jessica Rio and Mr. Castillo, about what would we need to do to get, kind of moving in the event that we would get the green light to, right now, assist food services, since their building is the one that's the most need. And we visited with Dr. Canales very briefly because it's been just kind of talk, or just kind of been trying to figure out what's best. There's fully operational AC, fully operational power. We've walked the buildings. The buildings are, most of it is CMU block.
Yes.
Flooring is in good condition. The building once the flood happened, the building was cleaned. It was, air quality control was checked. Everything has been cleared. It would take I wouldn't say minimal, but it would take some staff to go in there and, of course, do a very thorough cleaning, get the building ready, at least to get food services in an area where it's more functional, more operable for them. And then I would suggest just, respectfully, to move in the direction of building walls, separating, as we progress, or as we get, a
But like
little
Mr.
more.
Lopez
Like Mr. Lopez is
mentioned,
recommending.
have an architect so they can
Right.
work and design it
Yeah.
accordingly.
I think what you need to do is sit down with the three heads of the departments and find out, okay, that way you can divide. I mean, do they need equal spaces, or does somebody need more than another one? And then, divide it. Okay, let's take this corner, you take the center or the whole front, and find out what areas you can divide, and then also, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a matter of building walls, putting doors that our staff can do.
Right.
So,
Correct.
as far as going out for any kind of bids, I don't think you'll have to do that. I think
A lot of the stuff we can do in-house, sir.
we can do in-house.
Right,
I
and
mean,
we are, I say it all the time, our men have worked their behinds off all summer long, and we've cleared out a lot of major projects this summer with the intent or the idea that if this comes to fruition, then we can get some manpower to go in there and help get these buildings, or this building ready to move food services.
And just, I'm sorry.
Given the circumstances that put us in this position,
Yes, sir.
when you go and renovate, are you gonna provide some type of a preventive elevation or whatever in case there's rain again? You know what I'm
Could.
saying?
You could raise the whole level the whole floor by about 4 inches, and
Would it help? I mean, I'm just thinking, because when you go to places that you know you're gonna have this type of stuff,
Yes, sir.
you accommodate, you know, to prevent further losses.
Raising the building will be extremely expensive. It's flat, level, right on the ground. So you could raise it up inside, but you still got, you got brick, you got weep holes, you've got way where water can intrusion into it. Our suggestion or our recommendation is that you tear down, at least, maybe not dig the detention pond at this moment, but at least tear down the structures that are becoming impervious surface in order to give a little more ease of water to flow. This building only flooded about 3 inches. I mean, that's a lot, but it's not 2 foot. And I think what we really need to consider is getting some of those buildings down and maybe widening our detention pond and make sure that the water sheds away from that building A more so than it has before.
So you're looking at measures to
Yes.
remedy that?
Yes.
don't you think they could, I think you should still look at the option of raising the slab at a cost. I know that you're right, there is weep holes, but those would be stayed down below. If any of the water that comes in, if that building has been damp-proofed correctly, it won't let the water in, and it'll stay in the airspace and then go out, back out through the same weep holes it came in through.
And like we said, I don't have an issue with that, finding somebody, 'cause I'm looking at it from my perspective.
Yeah.
We really need an engineer, somebody, my background is electrical engineering. So a structural engineer, I absolutely want to bring one in. This is purely on a recommendation, but you'll need one of them, and you're going to need a civil engineer as well to make sure that we can get that water shedded off that building. Raising it, yeah, I mean, if they can do that, just from my perspective, it seemed to be very difficult, but, I've been wrong before.
Maybe not.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Right side, Mando, this side? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Canales?
Just in closing comments, I think our most immediate need right now is finding a place for food services for this academic school year. And whether we, with the building as is, as we make the decisions, we have to get them out of their current space. After talking to Mr. Sands, so we'd like to move forward at least with, until we get everything done, moving them sooner rather than later.
Yes, ma'am. And if I may just add, Dr. Canales, I would like the board to also know, Mr. Nieto, Board President and trustees, we have pretty much looked at all options with food services. We've looked at buying, rental leasing portable units. We have looked at leasing property. We've pretty much walked every single building, campus in the district to see where we can find space for the staff for food services. And then also we do have a concern with bathrooms are outside, it rains, it's cold, they can't go outside, as frequently as they want to. We have an ADA concern also, so just things that we have
I think you've got a
explored.
good idea with what you're
Yeah.
planning.
Proposing.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You talked about the transportation a little bit, right? That
Yes,
it's
sir.
flooded. Mike, I know that we had approved fuel tanks or some step in fuel tanks. Where are we at on that?
There's going to be an item on the agenda next week. We're probably going to move to reject that proposal that we received. In light of the fact that, and this was another item that we wanted to discuss today with you, is of course the issues that we have with the transportation department. So now that there's cold storage areas that are being built around the transportation, or they're actually building those areas, 4 to 5 feet higher. Right now, that we own approximately 17 acres that encompasses the transportation department and the maintenance department. As you can see, we only utilize about half of that space. And of course, and then on the warehouse, which also we have issues of flooding as well, that triangle piece of property that you see right there, we own approximately 10.5 acres, with the warehouse being taken up approximately 38,000 square feet. What we'd like to do with some input from the board, obviously, is to look for a new home for the transportation department, maintenance department, and even warehouse. We're going to visit with the city to maybe look at some kind of a land swap maybe that we could do with them, because obviously there's drainage, potential for detention area there, so,
The reason I asked you about the tanks, because I wanted to make sure that they weren't gonna get built somewhere
no.
where we got issues. And just so that you know, I will support wholeheartedly the moving transportation and maintenance, because
And warehouse.
I don't see that,
Warehouse.
I don't see that property getting any better if we have another rain.
Mr. Sands has a recommendation on just very,
He just gave me that's my recommendation.
What's
I was out there last week and went to every one of those sites, the transportation, the maintenance department. And as we were going around, as you're well aware, even the street, the public street out there floods enough that you can't even get your vehicles down it. Right directly across the street from there, you don't see it on that, but they've just built hundreds of thousands of square foot of storage buildings, and they have built them up.
About 4
And so
They went up.
it sheds off of there into an already small ditch that already overflows, that already goes into our facilities over there. Then up to the other side of it, they're doing the same thing. So what they're doing is they're closing in on us. And
Exactly.
as they do, they're raising their levels to shed the water back to us. Real quickly, at the end of the transportation facility, there is a ditch where this water's supposed to shed off into that ditch and go this way, all right? I looked in it, and there's water going this way as of Friday. So it's
Yeah.
like, there needs to be some issues with the city to talk about that as well.
I think the property's okay for the district, as long as we use it for storage of, like we have in the past, but not for our fleet of buses and our white fleet also. I think that we're looking for trouble. I think our insurance guy would also sleep a lot better knowing that our buses aren't there anymore. So I will support that. Another thing that we need to talk about, since we have your role here, or I want to know about, is our roofing. Where are we at on roofing? I know that I had asked Dr. Canales for an update on how many roof leaks we had, but I don't, I'm sure you did it, but I didn't get to look at
You
it.
can only discuss the roofing as it relates to Roosevelt Transportation, Maintenance, or Warehouse.
Roosevelt Transportation, Maintenance, and Warehouse. Well, then we'll just
At
get an
another
update
workshop.
on that.
Actually, we actually have one. I was asked about 3 or 4 weeks ago to list out from worst to bad. Okay, so I sent Mr. Sanchez, I believe I sent him a letter that's got 12 roofs on it, from the very worst ones to failing ones, all right?
Okay.
Some of them are included in your second phase already. They just need to get moving forward, because every year it's gonna deoxidize and just be.
And again,
So we could,
that's an area we can prioritize and find out which ones are the worst,
Yeah.
and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right. Any other?
Thank you.
Thank you.
we've got that information.
Good.
All right, this concludes our workshop.
yes, it does.
All right, are you all ready for special board meeting? I call this meeting of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees to order. Let the minutes reflect that we have a quorum of trustees that are present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. The time now is 6:23.
Yes.
Those trustees present and comprising the quorum today are Dr. Jaime Rodriguez, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Erasmo Lopez, and Coach Cuellar, and myself, Mr. Nieto. Item 3, discussion of possible action for the board to consider renewal of the district's property and casualty insurance. Dr. Canales?
Board of Trustees, we received this information late this afternoon. I haven't had a chance to get with staff to review it, given the trainings that we've been in. We have a meeting next Monday. I'd like to just put this item, pull it, and put it in the August 12th meeting agenda.
We don't have to have a motion for that, right, Ivan?
No, you can just take no action on it.
Okay, no action. All right. Closed meeting to discuss. The board will now go into closed meeting to discuss employee personnel resignations, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. A, superintendent's recommendation for the position of Director of Assessment and Accountability. B, evaluation of superintendent and considering regarding superintendent contract. B, conduct level 3 grievance by ex Trevino pursuant to Weslaco ISD policy DGBA local. And C, consultation with attorney regarding or pending contemplated litigation, settlement offer, a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the Weslaco ISD under Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. It is 6:25, and we will be exiting to closed session. All right, let's go so we can get. It is now 7:25, and we're back from executive session. Item A, possible action if necessary on items discussed in closed meeting. 1, discussion of possible action on new employment. Dr. Canales?
Board of Trustees, I move that you approve the employment of the new personnel as discussed in closed session.
So move.
Second?
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Mr. Lopez to approve new employment as discussed in executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, discussion of possible action on resignations.
You do have an action item.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
does require board action.
Okay.
Right. And to approve the resignation as discussed in closed session.
So move.
Second?
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Coach Cuellar
Yes.
on resignations as discussed in the executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, discussion of possible action on the recommendation for the position of Director of Assessment and Accountability. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, I move that you approve the recommendation of Mr. Elias Trevino for the Director of Assessment and Accountability.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Coach Cuellar to approve the recommendation of Elias Trevino for the position of Director of Assessment and Accountability. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Canales, you want to introduce it?
Yes, Mr. Trevino is here with us tonight. Mr. Trevino, would you like to say something?
I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and look forward to continue to work with our team. Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Well deserved, well deserved.
All right. Item number 4. Discussion of possible action on superintendent evaluation and possible action on contract.
I move to approve a raise of the superintendent's pay by 5% of the base salary beginning July 1st, 2019, upon approval of the 2019-2020 budget to be consistent with administration's pay raise.
So move. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Dr. Jaime to approve the superintendent evaluation and possible action on the contract as noted. Correct? Any discussion?
Yes, just want to say that during her evaluation, just want to state that I'm very happy with the steps and the things and the path that she's paid for us. I know that she's been working very hard to get us to Weslaco back to the top, and we can see it from here. Thank you, Dr. Canales.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Coach Cuellar?
I agree with that, and I think I shared a lot of my sentiments and my experience in the short time that I've been here. I see a lot of very positive things, the direction that we're going in, and all I can say is let's keep doing it, and let's keep moving to get better.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Jaime?
Thank you, Coach.
No, same, great job, Dr. Canales and administration, from top to bottom. I think you're definitely moving this district in the right direction, and I look forward to seeing continued improvement there. Thank you.
Thank you.
I took some notes on what we discussed in executive session, all for about accountability to facilities, to safety and security, keeping board members informed, financial stability, visibility, meeting with principals, having a awesome central office staff, following up on concerns from staff, parents, and board members. I will be meeting with you to discuss and go over the notes or the concerns or all the positive comments from the board members.
Thank you, Mr. Nieto.
Any other comments? All right, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez, correct? And a second by Dr. Jaime to approve the superintendent evaluation and, of course, take action on her contract, 5%, like we did for administrators. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Canales, any comments?
No, I love our family, our team, our students. It's a great place to be. You know, when I first came here, I said, and I say this to the principals and to all central office staff, I said it felt like home. I recently met with my parents, my dad and my mom. They couldn't be prouder that I'm serving the community of Weslaco. And I told them, it's like home. We believe in continuously improving so that all our students soar. And we are on the move. I expect a lot more from self. I know I'm surrounded by team members who feel the same way, no matter what role they play in our great district. And want to continue working as a team of 8 and with all the employees in our school district so that better and better things happen every single year for children. It's not about us, it's about children, and that's why Weslaco ISD is definitely the place to be. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Adjournment? No, not yet?
Going to the,
Oh, yes, my fault. It is 7:30, and we will go back into executive session? Correct, Mr. Perez?
Yes, and you need to indicate what you're going into executive session for.
All right. We're going into the executive session on a discussion of possible action on level 3 grievance requested by ex Trevino.
Right, so if anyone is here and you're not going to participate in the level 3 grievance, you're going to have to exit the room.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Thank you, Principals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Perez. The time is now 8:30, and the board has reconvened in open session. Is there a motion with regard to the level 3 grievance of Mr. Javier Trevino?
I move to uphold the level 2 decision issued in the grievance of Mr. Javier Trevino and authorize the board president to confer with the superintendent as discussed in closed session.
second the motion.
We have a motion by Coach Cuellar and a second by Mr. Lopez. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Adjournment?
So moved.
It is 8:28. Okay.